We get so many calls to our Team Clark Consumer Action Center about scams. And I'm going to start today with one that's growing and growing and growing that usually arrives by text message. If you want to learn more about how to get free one-on-one advice from our Team Clark Consumer Action Center, go to clark.com/CAC. So let's talk hot scam. It became routine within the last 5 years that the credit cards you have will, if they are worried that a charge is legit, will text you and ask you, is this, usually you'll say, text us back 1 for yes, 2 for no, or Y or N or whatever to validate the charge. So criminals always love to pretext, to mimic something legit. And when something becomes so routine, well, they glom onto it. So now one of the hottest crimes out there, one of the hottest scams, is where you receive a text from what looks like one of your credit card companies, and they'll send one, about your, it'll be from Chase, or it'll be from Citi, or it'll be from, let's think who the other bigs are. Those are the two biggest, Amex, three biggest. But a lot of the credit card market share is from the top 4 or 5 issuers. So the criminals are all working that space more than they are other issuers. And so you'll get one and you're like, oh, because you might have a Chase card or a Citi card or an Amex card. And so you're like, I didn't do that. And it'll tell you to respond. And then where normally all you'd get is a response from a legit one from Citi, Chase, or Amex or some other, is it will say, okay, this charge was declined, you can try it again. But what the criminals are doing is they're then engaging you with an ongoing pattern of texts, maybe even trying to get you to do a phone call to them. And so it's criminals, and why it's called pretexting, it's when anybody pretends to be from a government authority, a financial institution, whatever, and they're impersonating them, and they're trying to get you to do something that either allows them to engage in identity theft or steal money from you. So let's say you take the bait and you call, and the person will sound very much like somebody you might call at one of the big financial institutions, and they'll ask you, what do they ask for you next? Your number to your card. They say, well, let me pull up your account. And let's validate this as you. What's your expiration date? And at some point, they'll try to get your 3-digit PIN or 4-digit for Amex out of you. And then they're off to the races. Somehow the line then goes dead. And they're charging like crazy. They were predicting that they were going to do fraudulent activity, and you took the bait. So anytime you're asked to validate a charge, and let's say it's a big number, saying, did you buy blah, blah, blah at Best Buy for $1,428 or whatever? And you're like, no, I didn't. And then you'll see, call this number. Do not call that number. Do not call that number. Go to, if you've got the app for that card on your phone, or you go to the website for that credit card, and you contact the number that you know is legit, or on the back of your card, it will have the legit number you call. But don't take the bait from the crooks. And by the way, I'm just giving you one method of operation they use with these pretexting texts about credit cards. Coming up ahead, we got to talk a little bit about credit cards and receipts and signing and all that. And there are things you need to know. Do you know it's been almost 7 years since you had to sign a credit card slip? And I think how funny it is because I had the privilege to recently be overseas and was able to use credit cards to pay for everything. And I had cash. I only had to use cash once in 10 days. And I was able to use tap to pay every single time except one when I had to insert a card. And do you know I never a single time had to sign a credit card slip? Not once. No one ever asked me to, because that's not how it works anymore. Except for some funky reason. Think how often this happens in the United States that you're asked to sign. And it's a bunch of junk. I mean, there's no reason you have to sign. But it's so ironic because Krista and I were talking about this just the other day about the dreaded iPad. Not that the iPad is a terrible thing, but
the flip of the iPad.
The flip is happening because Krista eats at a lot of quick serve kind of restaurants that are the step up from fast food that tend to have healthy salads and organic this, that, and the other, and all these things I don't really understand. And one thing that's clear, when you go to the quick serves, you're always asked to sign the iPad. Mm-hmm. Why are you always asked to sign the iPad?
They flip to tip.
Flip to tip. So the whole thing of signing is a ruse to get that screen in front of you so that you'll tip. Not that it's bad that you tip. That is completely about you, how you choose to tip. And I want to tell you, when you and I are somewhere for lunch and they flip to tip, you are the most generous tipper I think I know on planet Earth.
No way.
Oh, I watch. You always, they have these suggested things.
Yeah.
And, let's say to the left, depends on the system. Sometimes the highest percent tips to the left, sometimes it's to the right. Your eyes always gravitate to whatever the highest suggested percent is. And
I usually, honestly, what I usually do at those places is 20 or 18, just depending on how much service there is.
Why did I see you tip 24%?
I didn't. I did not.
You may have hit it by mistake.
No way.
Yeah, I remember.
Because I know
you're thinking your homework there.
Because that wasn't my money. We were doing a meeting, so that was the company money. But I did not do 24%. I did not. I specifically did 18. I remember because you were looking at me. I usually do 20, and I was like, But
anyway, know that the whole signature thing is bogus. There's no requirement by any of the credit card companies that your signature be there. And it's not something you had an argument about. They ask you to sign or tell you to sign. But it's just a waste of time. And I don't know what it's all about that we have that going on, other than I think all the restaurant systems that the restaurants buy that incorporate the iPad, all in order to boost tipping because you think about it, if there was nothing that the iPad was ever flipped for, people wouldn't be tipping. So I think that's really why they do that and say, oh, you need to sign.
Yeah, and service, any kind of service, like when I get my hair done, they flip the iPad. But the nail place never has the iPad. They want cash tips. Like there'll be a line, but there's always a sign, whatever place I go, that says, please tip in cash.
Oh, really?
Always.
Huh.
What do you think that is?
I don't know. I've never gotten my nails done. Wouldn't know.